Britain is currently through its most challenging moment, both politically and economically. The United Kingdom has had 3 prime ministers in the last 3 months. Liz Truss, the former prime minister, has the shortest tenure of any prime minister, serving only 44 days. Rishi Sunak is now the 3rd prime minister in as many months. Now he inherits a UK beleaguered by everything from the Ukraine war to a potential NHS crisis. As Liz Truss's replacement, he must deal with a bloated in-tray and a divided party. Liz Truss's replacement coronation has done nothing to alleviate Britain's troubles. Instead, Rishi Sunak inherits a party riven by infighting. As a result, the party cannot agree on where the budget axe should fall as it considers the decisions required to restore economic credibility. Rishi Sunak has won the race to replace Liz Truss as Conservative Party leader and will become the UK's next Prime Minister. During the shortened 4-day campaign, the former Chancellor made no policy pledges, nor did he deliver any speeches or media interviews. As a result, his unsuccessful summer campaign against Ms. Truss to replace Boris Johnson remains the strongest indicator of his policies. However, following Ms. Truss' rocky 6-week premiership, many uncertainties remain about his plans. Rishi Sunak has been Prime Minister of the United Kingdom since October 25, 2022, and leader of the Conservative Party since October 24, 2022. In addition, Sunak was Chancellor of the Exchequer from 2020 to 2022 and Chief Secretary to the Treasury from 2019 to 2020. He has been a Parliament or MP for Richmond in Yorks since 2015. Sunak was born in Southampton to Indian parents who immigrated to the UK from East Africa in the 1960s. He attended Winchester College, Oxford, where he studied philosophy, politics, and economics, and got an MBA as a Fulbright scholar. At Stanford, he met his future wife, Akshata Murthy, the daughter of Indian billionaire N.R. Narayana Murthy. Sunak and his wife were the 222nd wealthiest individuals in the United Kingdom in 2022, with a combined fortune of £730 million. Sunak worked for Goldman Sachs after graduation, and later as a partner in the hedge fund firms, the Children's Investment Fund Management and Philem Partners. Sunak was elected to the House of Commons in 2015 as the Member of Parliament for Richmond in North Yorkshire, succeeding William Hague. Sunak voted in favor of Brexit in the 2016 EU referendum. In the 2018 reshuffle, he was appointed Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for Local Ministry in Theresa May's second government. He supported May's Brexit separation agreement 3 times. Then Sunak backed Boris Johnson's campaign for Conservative leader after May quit. As a reward, Sunak was named Chief Secretary to the Treasury after Johnson became Prime Minister. Sunak took over as Chancellor of the Exchequer after Sajid Javid resigned in the February 2020 cabinet reshuffle. Sunak was a crucial figure in the government's financial reaction to the COVID-19 pandemic and its economic consequences as Chancellor, including the coronavirus job retention and Eat Out to Help Out initiatives. In July 2022, he resigned as Chancellor, followed by Johnson's resignation after a government crisis. Sunak ran in the Conservative Party leadership election to replace Johnson but was defeated by Liz Truss. However, Sunak was chosen unopposed as Conservative Party leader after Truss resigned amid another government crisis. On October 25, 2022, he was appointed Prime Minister, making him the first British Asian and Hindu to assume that post. Previous policies: cost of living crisis. Sunak presented the autumn budget for 2021 as his 3rd budget declaration in October 2021. It made substantial investment promises, most of which were devoted to science and education. Sunak issued his spring statement on March 23, 2022. He said the Russian invasion of Ukraine had hampered the recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. As a result, he decreased gasoline duty, eliminated VAT on energy-saving devices such as solar panels and insulation, and reduced small business national insurance payments. While continuing with a scheduled national insurance increase in April, he vowed that the primary threshold would be aligned with the basic personal income limit by July. Further, he promised that income tax would be reduced in 2024. According to the Office for Budget Responsibility, the tax burden has been extraordinary since the 1940s. Sunak also gave some assistance to assist needy persons in dealing with growing living costs. However, Sunak was out of touch with everyday people's hardships owing to the cost of living crisis, according to Labour leader Keir Starmer in April 2022. Cryptocurrencies and NFTs. Sunak, as Chancellor, was pushing ahead with a new law that would allow stablecoins to be used for everyday payments, despite the Bank of England's concerns about the technology's financial soundness. Sunak directed the Royal Mint in April 2022 to construct a UK government-backed, non-fungible token to be released by summer 2022. G7 tax reform. Sunak and U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen at the G7 Finance Ministers Summit in 2021. A tax reform deal was reached in June 2021 during the G7 conference, hosted by Sunak at Lancaster House in London, to establish a minimum tax on multinational corporations and online technology businesses worldwide. The OECD agreed to join the tax reform proposal in October 2021. Proposed green levy. Sunak privately lobbied as Chancellor to impose a green fee, which would have resulted in higher petrol and diesel prices, to help fund the ambition to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to net zero by 2050. The Treasury's proposed fossil fuels emissions trading scheme sought to tax pollution for road transportation, shipping, building heating, and diesel trains, which collectively account for more than 40% of UK carbon emissions. Boris Johnson finally rejected the suggestion, telling officials that he did not want to raise consumer expenses. Now what can we expect from Rishi Sunak as the next Prime Minister of the UK? Tax cuts and government borrowing. Mr. Sunak rejected Ms. Truss's plans for immediate tax cuts as fairy tale economics that would raise inflation during the summer leadership race. He warned that her intentions could result in increased government borrowing rates. This concern reappeared after financial volatility following the mini-budget in September. Although he expressed a desire for long-term tax cuts, he stated that controlling inflation should come first. He hiked national insurance by 1.25 in the pound as Chancellor, a measure he supported throughout the campaign as necessary to pay healthcare spending. Pledges on energy and climate change. Following Ms. Truss's mini-budget, the rise will be reversed on November 6. Mr. Sunak has not said whether this cut will still go ahead. He also committed to raising corporation tax from 19% to 25% next April. This policy remains on course after Ms. Truss U-turned her promise to scrap the rise. However, one area where he did commit to cuts was income tax, pledging to lower the basic rate by 4% before the end of the next parliament. This included a 1% cut in April 2024, a reduction Ms. Truss initially brought forward by a year before the commitment evaporated completely during her mini-budget U-turn. One of the essential options facing Mr. Sunak as Prime Minister is whether to push back the program further or replace it. Unlike Ms. Truss, he did not rule out energy rationing this winter as part of supply conservation preparations throughout the summer. However, like his predecessor, he indicated he would oppose erecting solar panels on our best farmland. Instead, he advocated fracking for natural gas when local residents approved it. He also supported the UK's goal of reaching net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. The NHS and Healthcare. Although healthcare was not a major battlefield during the summer campaign, Mr. Sunak made several significant commitments. The new Prime Minister pledged to end one-year waits by September 2024 and to reduce the number of people waiting for non-urgent treatment in England by next year. He promised to accomplish this by increasing the number of diagnostic hubs outside hospitals, notably by reusing vacant high street stores. To limit waste, he also stated that anyone who misses a GP or hospital visit would be fined £10. He also promised to overhaul the NHS contract for dentists and to ring-fence the yearly £3 billion NHS dentistry fund. So do let us know which topic we should cover next. If you enjoyed this video, then do like and subscribe to the video.